mountaineer has become the first person ever to ski down Mount Everest without using an oxygen tank. Andre Barguil did it after a grueling 16-hour climb up the highest mountain in the world. The 37-year-old spent just minutes on the summit before strapping on his skis and racing against the setting sun. Barguil's heart-stopping, thick, layered snow slide came to a pause at Camp 2, around 6,400 metres above sea level due to nightfall. His team said he continued skiing down Everest at sunrise, and Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk posted on X saying this proves the sky is no limit for Poles. Let's bring in journalists for Everest.live and Outside magazine as well, Ben Ayres. Thanks so much for joining us. I mean, the images are quite scary, really, aren't they? But just tell us what a feat this was.
Oh, yeah, Max, this is truly unprecedented in the sport. Not only is skiing down Mount Everest a very, very difficult thing to do, just reaching the summit of the peak in the fall season is incredibly difficult. The last person to actually successfully summit in the fall was way back in 2010. So, Barguil has just totally blown the doors off of what's possible in ski mountaineering.
And take us through the time pressures that were on him as well, because he had to get to certain points at a certain time, didn't he? Otherwise, it would be pretty precarious.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the complexities of climbing and descending a mountain of that size, that scale in this season are very, very difficult to even comprehend. And for him, as you mentioned, wasn't able to complete the descent in one go, given nightfall. There's all sorts of other factors as well. As you're watching the weather constantly. In the fall, the jet stream is much more unstable. And the chances of him being on the summit when the weather changes and getting literally blown off the mountain was a real possibility. So there was all sorts of things behind that successful ascent and descent of his.
And take us through the oxygen factor, because you would always take oxygen, wouldn't you, on one of these trips?
I mean, for mere mortals like you and I, absolutely. You know, the summit of Mount Everest only has about 33% of the oxygen available at sea level. So just climbing without oxygen, your body breaks down, right? Above 8,000 meters, people call that being in the death zone, because that's an area where basically you cannot survive for an extended period of time. You can only go up and come back down. Bottled oxygen, it's sort of like, a comparison would be scuba gear that lets you breathe underwater. Bottled oxygen lets athletes breathe at altitude, and it lets their brains and their hearts and their circulatory system function properly. But, Barguil had none of that. He did it just based on his own strength and grit and training. And it's a really incredibly difficult thing when you think about, a big day at the Alps, your legs are sore, but imagine doing that with only a third of the amount of oxygen.
Yeah, so the oxygen is difficult when you're walking, but he was skiing using more energy, which makes it completely unimaginable, right? But even to try.
Yeah, and it wasn't like he was heading down the piste, and stopping for an espresso. I mean, he's skiing down 45-degree slopes where one fall would mean certain death. In the fall as well, you have a lot of avalanche danger. There's a lot of snow on the mountain. There are hidden crevasses. There are seracs. There's all sorts of factors in this. So what it took for him to pull this off is truly incredible. This wasn't his first 8,000-meter peak that he skied down. He skied down a number in the Karakoram, including K2. He's sort of made this his thing, and there's no other athlete right now that can compare to him.
We're watching the video now. We're not seeing a guide.
Oh, absolutely not. There's no guide that could keep up with that.
But you need a guide, don't you? Isn't that the whole thing?
Well, you need a partner, right? I think especially for mountaineering in the fall, you don't see the same commercial crowds on Everest where you can basically purchase, a trip to the top where you have guides, fixed ropes, people cooking food for you and all that. In the fall, the mountain is empty. The reason that he skied it in the fall is that's when you can get a consistent ramp of snow from the top to the bottom. But that means that he's alone on the mountain. He had one other person at the summit with him, but of course that person walked down while he skied.
Do you think he's got a very unusual biology making him able to do this, or was it just an incredible amount of training to allow him to do it without oxygen tanks?
You couldn't do it without both. Not only has he been training rigorously for this, it's a year-round training just to be able to come close to this. But also, you have to be a little bit of a freak of nature. You have to be extremely, extremely genetically strong and predisposed to be able to do something like this.
So what? Actually, we're going to leave it there. Ben, thank you very much indeed. I could keep asking you questions all night. I just can't get my head around it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Okay, we're going to turn.
It's hard to conceive.